Greetings, wanderers. Today's topic is: what industry secret do you know that most people don't? If you have already Googled your problem, you have already exceeded the first 2 tiers of tech support. Pack your freight like it's going to get a pallet stacked on top of it, because it most likely will. I'm an unarmed security guard. Every now and then I'll get a comment from someone about how they're glad I'm around in case there's an active shooter or something. Yeah, if that happens, we're not doing anything aside from getting ourselves to safety and calling the cops. We're literally told in training that if we try to intervene directly with an active shooter, we'll be fired. Detect, deter, and report was the slogan at Securitas back in the day. We were frequently told we were there for insurance purposes and were expected to not take action beyond calling the cops and getting ourselves to safety. Great student job. Your lobster tail at Outback is microwaved. I make wildlife films for big streamers and broadcasters. The sound is all either library or Foley. I understand it because people are gullible and it adds to the experience, resulting in the monies, but man, hearing an ant lick its chops drives me up a fucking wall, hahaha. When I used to work for Hyatt, if the minibar was used and not declared but the value was under $15, they wouldn't bother billing for it because it gave off an appearance that it wasn't synonymous with a 5-star hotel. Live audio engineer. Sometimes they're faking it. I've had to mic drum sets where the cables went nowhere. I've had to ask a keyboard player if they were having trouble, because they were playing, but nothing was coming out of their channel. Don't even get me started on pitch correction, teleprompters, guide tracks, ghost musicians, backing tracks, etc. Worked with a lot of banks and their systems. You wouldn't believe how old and fragile they are. It's a wonder it's not all coming crashing down. The New York Times bestseller list has a lot of people on it who buy massive numbers of their own books. Apparently, there is a symbol that indicates that while it did make bestseller status, there was a bulk buy. A footnote, if you will, or similar to an asterisk. If you find an extra nugget in your order, it wasn't a mistake. You got a cool employee. Trained artist here. Most oil paints are made with very toxic substances, as are most paint thinners and mediums. Every single one of my teachers was either very sick, cancer, Meniere's disease, or a bit crazy, eating chalk, licking pallets. All incredible artists I was privileged to learn from. One lesson I learned very well: I wear gloves and sometimes a mask when I paint. Edit. I mentioned Meniere's because one of my favorite teachers had it. I worked closely with him and his suffering holds a large place in my memories of school. While I think the exposure to toxins didn't do him any favors, I should not have implied a correlation. I apologize. To those asking, no paint was licked off pallets. They had just been cleaned with denatured alcohol and he always led with, "Now you could eat off them," before waggling his tongue on the glass. Love the shock factor, that guy did. I'm an academic researcher and I can speak for a huge number in my field when I say, if you want access to our studies and they're behind a paywall, you can email us and we will send you the study. We are genuinely delighted to share, and if you want further context for the results or what have you, I'll always try my best to oblige. The only limiters on that last bit is that the original data for the study might have reached the end of our right to keep it, in which case it will have been destroyed. I might have forgotten details, or I might have written that paper during a particularly hectic time and my file system might be total shit. Also, a lot of us are on ResearchGate and various social media things, so you can contact us through there. If you can't contact us directly or we're being slow, one of the other authors on the paper might be contactable. I'm a casino manager. It is definitely possible, more likely than you think, to win money in the short term. For example, if you walk in, bet on red/black on roulette, it's reasonably close to 50/50ths, not quite because of zero. You might do this once, double your money and leave. Congratulations. You will always lose in the long term. Always. Anyone that thinks they have some kind of system is a sucker. A game would not make it into the casino floor if the maths have not been rigorously checked and long-term simulations run to confirm. Asterisk exception to this is poker. The casino will always have a rake or time charge to make their money, but there is no reason you cannot consistently win money if you are skilled enough. Worked in online community management and social media for years, admins can read all of your PMS. Private only means private from the masses, not from administration. We had to be able to read them to check reports of abuse, grooming, illegal activity, etc. I can't tell you how much cringeworthy shit I had to read through, especially from guys trying to hook up. If your baby goes to a nursery/daycare, chances are those weren't their first steps/words etc. that you witnessed. Industry standard is to not tell parents when these things happen, as it makes them feel bad. I've seen kids up and walking about the room for weeks, even months, before their parent proudly announced at drop-off that they took their first steps last night. On the Texas House floor, people push the buttons to vote for members who aren't even present that day. This happens multiple times, on every single thing they vote for.